נתת על מיוט.
שלא תשמעו את מה שאני צועקת לבעל שלי לעשות. מישהו יודע מה עם לוסנג? היא אמרה שהיא תאחר? לא? הנה.
Hey, hello. Are you okay, Netta? Are you all done? Are you happy that you're all done with? That all is working well as it should?
Yes, indeed. I was really stressed about it. I'm technophobic.
Yeah, I can understand.
Hard case.
I am a bit the same.
Mm.
Okay, so I thought we can start the afternoon session with this, I find, with this very beautiful supplication to Arya Chandresik, which is from King Songtsengampo. Because as we said this morning, developing bodhicitta, keeping it, having it, living it is, I think we discovered, is really, really difficult. It's really not easy. It's, it's a very nice thought. It's a very inspiring thought. But then when it comes down to really doing it, then it's really difficult. So, but because we always want to do things alone, because for whatever reason, sometimes is that people have some aversion towards so-called religious things, like maybe they've been hurt by people who are religious, or see some of them behave in a negative way, and then they put everybody in the same pot, which we should never do anyway. And and then whatever sounds a bit religious is putting them off. So it might be a good thing to also to check, what does it mean? It's religious or it's not religious. People would maybe say, well, if it's been proven by science, then I accept it, okay? But then again, science is, how many times have they changed their mind? Since we can remember, like at the beginning, the earth was flat. At the beginning, for a while, the earth was flat, and then somebody came along and said the earth is round, and he would get burned for saying that the earth is round, and like the earth is smaller than the sun, and the earth is kind of going around the sun instead of the other way around. And, when we were small, we learned that if you eat a lot of spinach, you become very strong. Then another scientist came along and said, nah, that's not true. The amount of iron that is in the spinach is very small. But we do trust, isn't it? But then we mustn't forget, it's only lately that neuroscience is starting to look a little bit beyond all the measurable things, things that can be measured or touched or seen or whatever. But, I know how I am. When I hear that science says something that says the same thing as Buddhism, I'm all for it. I go, yeah. You see, they say the same thing. When they say something different, then I go like, don't really examine. I go like, oh, they're probably wrong. So, so a bit like this. But this is definitely something that you need to try out if this religious stuff works for you or not, I think. And strange enough, it does work. So I had a big problem with the so-called religious part of Buddhism at the beginning because I grew up without religion. My father was very negative towards religion. He'd say, well, all the priests, they just want your money and they don't behave and all this. And so I grew up with I don't want to blame my parents, okay? But it's kind of what we grow up with, the values that they give us. Sometimes we adopt them and sometimes we don't. Like Edouard was saying yesterday's dad, when he said, when you give something, give it away. You're not going to stop the addiction of the person who is addicted. I kind of grew up with the view. My dad was very strong, and he always figured out problems himself. And he was a really strong person, and I kind of tried to imitate him. And then, of course, I wasn't strong like him. But I grew up with religion is absolutely superfluous and not needed. It's like, what's the point? A bit like this. So when I met Buddhism in 1990 in Kopan, I very much liked the way they talked in a kind of scientific way about the emotions, how you can apply antidote about emptiness and all these kind of things. But then, prayers and deities and visualization, I thought like, that's good for them, but I don't need it. I wasn't criticizing it. I wasn't saying it's no good, but I thought like, yeah, they don't know. Maybe let them do it and all this. But then I became a nun, so I have to go to pujas. And for about 2 years, I sat in the puja full of like aversion. I thought it was stupid and all this, and it's a lot of suffering. It's a lot of suffering when you have to do something that you so vividly kind of reject. And so at one point, after having suffered enough, talking about renunciation, sitting in that Tara Puja, I still remember the moment. And I don't know from where, just a kind of thought or sentence came and it said like, it wasn't blah, 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 right? It was more like how we have this aha feeling sometimes. And it was a bit an attitude of, just do it. What's the harm? And then since then, I started to more study these things and especially use them when I need them. And I have to say, it works. So there are some people, they get the point of pujas, visualizations of deities, and they just happily continue to do this alongside the philosophical studies or studies of Lam Rim or emotions. And then there are other people who cannot do anything with it. And there's other people who only find attraction in the so-called religious part. And His Holiness says, Tibetan Buddhism has 5 parts, isn't it? I can't remember. But anyway, let's count them. It has a religion, which is all these deities and tantra and all that. But it's not theistic. This we have to be very careful, because if your definition of religion is that there is a higher being that is omnipotent, then Buddhism is not a religion. Okay? Because the Buddha is not omnipotent. Para is not omnipotent. And these are just expressions of an enlightened mind who have perfected compassion and wisdom. They have some powers that ordinary beings don't have, but they're not omnipotent. Yeah. So there is a God realm. So there is something like gods who have more powers than we have. But in Buddhism, it is said nobody is omnipotent. There's no such being who has total control over the universe. Okay. So it's not theistic. The Buddha is not a god in that sense. The Buddha is like somebody like us who has suffered, and he recognized it and he was going to try to find the answer. He was very advanced and then found the answer to the suffering. He found the causes and then he just expounded on it. And then people started to take it up. And then, of course, people started to add a lot of stuff. Because also when some people say, yeah, but, the prayer flags and the incense and the light offerings and deities and all this is not what the Buddha said. Well, no, the Buddha didn't say that. But definitely there's a lot of cultural stuff that goes with it. That's true. This is why Buddhism looks, the package of Buddhism looks totally different, whether you're in Thailand, in Burma, in Tibet, in Japan, and now in the West and other places. But for it to become Buddhism, it has to have the Four Noble Truths, like the Noble Truths of suffering, the origin of suffering, cessation, and the path. And if you call yourself a Buddhist, then you take refuge. And by taking refuge, it means you accept what is called the Four Seals. All compounded phenomena are in the nature of impermanence. Like that, whatever comes together, at one point it will fall apart. All contaminated things are in the nature of suffering. It might be pleasant at the beginning, but then it always turns sour. like then we have to change. Right? Then the third one is there is no separate self. There is no real essence that is able to withstand to stand alone, who is autonomous. It's nothing that just can stand by its own, like, everything is empty of any inherent existence, or there's no separate self that exists apart from the parts. And the first one is only Nirvana is peace. So, as we said, we have different nirvanas. We have like nirvana with remainder, without remainder, and then non-abiding nirvana. So the non-abiding nirvana would be that we have a mind who is totally pure already, and we don't have to be reborn if we don't want to, but the compassion is kind of taking us there where we take on a body, and then, we act for the benefit of sentient beings. So this is kind of, that's what makes it Buddhism. Then all the rest is, or all the rest, a lot of it afterwards is like influenced by culture. It doesn't mean that because it's cultural, we have to throw it out, but it also doesn't mean that we have to imitate everything. That's what the Dalai Lama is always saying. So again, we come down to that point. If it helps for you to have an altar in order, or to have a Buddha statue or some images, if it helps you practice, if it helps you to remember what you're doing, then by all means do it. If you just look at it every morning and you go like, oh, why do I need to have this? Yeah, I don't want to have this in my house or in my room. Then don't. You see, the altar alone is not bringing to enlightenment, but it might help, right? The only way that we will attain enlightenment is by wanting to get out of samsara, knowing how to do this by training ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom. And so that's liberation. And if we want to go to full enlightenment, we have to practice then, first Bodhichtta and then the 6 perfections. And then we will have the qualities of a Buddha. And the qualities of a Buddha you will find in, in the Lam Rim texts, or also if Geshe-ma then is teaching Uttara Tantra Shastra, then it starts with the quality of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha with the 3 jewels. Those are the first 3 points of the text. And the most important, the 4th point in the text is like the nature, Buddha nature that everybody has. So a bit like this. So if these, if these supplications or prayers or whatever, how do they work or how do they help? So we visualize Chenresik in the space in front of us. Maybe I give you a picture. So that can be 4-armed Chenresik or 1,000-armed Chenresik. Or it can or it can be like Shakyamuni Buddha or whatever. And these images, they touch something in our subtle mind. Kind of, it's like a reflection of our own Buddha nature. So this is why we use them. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he always says, just seeing these images is creating positive karma, because it kind of wakes up our Buddha nature. But again, if you look at it with, can you give me the co-host, please, Netta, so I can share the images. So if you look at it with disgust, then of course that's not going to be there. That's clear, because it comes from your side. It doesn't just come from Chenresik. And it's another thing, this is something for you to experience. I don't know how it is in Israel, maybe not so much, but definitely here in the West, you can see many people putting Buddha statues in their garden or in their house somewhere. They have no idea what Buddhism is all about, but it seems as if the form of the Buddha is giving them something that seems to be appealing and that seems to be pleasing. Of course, they also put other statues, but I think I think if you look at in percentage-wise, what kind of statues you find in people's garden or houses that are not practicing, I think there's more Buddha statues than, for example, Shiva statues. But again, I might be wrong. So this is the four-armed Chenrezig. Yeah, and also this is full of symbolism. So when you see these images and when you see these pictures, then, for example, you already see the three principal aspects of the path. Like the lotus always symbolizes renunciation. And they say it's like the lotus grows in the mud, but then the petals and the flowers are totally pure. So the non-abiding nirvana, fully awakened being, is the mind totally in nirvana, totally pure, but kind of, manifests in samsara in order to guide. Right? So it reminds ourselves to, I want to get out of samsara. Then here is a little moon disk. And the moon disk represents Bodhichtta, like cooling, that cools down the heat of the suffering. And when you have Shakyamuni Buddha, you have a sun disk also. But this here, there's no sun disk, there's only moon disk. And so it would be the form of Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara that represents wisdom. Okay? Then he has in his left hand, he has a lotus, which symbolizes wisdom. In his right hand, he has a mala. Maybe a bit difficult to see. Oh, it's a very small one. Oh no, it's kind of in an 8, like this. I don't know if you can see it. On his right hand, he has a mala, symbolizes the method, like the conventional side. So you have the two truths. Here is ultimate truth, here is conventional truth. Then in his hands here, he's holding a jewel. So can you imagine, if we would have a diamond or an emerald or whatever that is that big, how precious we would find that jewel. So that's the sign. This is how he holds us, sentient beings, as being so precious that he wants to protect us, right? Not, I want to keep this jewel, it's mine, but in order to protect it. So this is, this is the symbolism of Avalokiteshvara. And then you have, so this is the four-armed one, and then you have the 1,000-armed one. And, then it becomes really strange. Kind of, so he has 1,000 arms, like 992, these little hands here. Each one is a hand with an eye in it. And, with this eye, with the wisdom, he sees what people need. Then he also is standing, this one is standing on a lotus, then on a moon disk. And then he has in his hands, here he has a vase, where, for example, he pours he pours nectar to the hungry ghosts, I think. And then also here, the right hand, the bigger right hand on this side, is also going, bringing healing to the lower states. Then there's a bow and arrow here. So this is compassion and wisdom that shoots the illusions. Here again is the lotus that is symbolizing wisdom. Here the mala, which symbolizes the method, or it reminds us of our practice. And here's the Dharma wheel, which is like expounding the Dharma. And here again in the middle is the lotus that he is holding. So who and what is Chenrezig? They exist on different levels. It's like he is a Buddha on him, in his own right, almost a Buddha of compassion, but he's also the manifestation of a fully awakened being's compassion. And the best way when you do these things, these kind of religious things, is that you think, this is me, this is a reflection of my future result, of my practice. And then here you have the other two. Here is Vajrapani, who is, symbolizes the power of a fully manifestation and power of a fully enlightened mind. And then you have Manjushri, which symbolizes the wisdom of a fully awakened mind. Then on his crown is Amitabha, because there's 5 Buddha families, which symbolize the 5 wisdoms, which purify the 5 contaminated, the 5 mental poisons. The 5 Buddha families purify the 5 aggregates, our 5 contaminated aggregates. So it's full of symbolism, just for you to get a bit of an idea. Because sometimes people say, oh yeah, Tantra, this is for people who can't study, and then they just do Tantra. And when they have a tummy ache, then they just recite a few mantras, and then they think they're going to get healed. It's not like this. Tantra is a very, very, very refined system of working with your subtle body, subtle energies, and subtle minds or subtle drops, right? So what I like about this supplication to Chenrezig, maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. You have every right not to like it. And it's not very long, so we will just recite it together, or you can just read. What I like about it is like, feeling that I'm in the danger of creating some negative karma. I kind of call out to Chenrezig and say, please protect me from this danger. The moment I remember Avalokiteshvara, again, my mind goes into another state. I'm not caught up by my delusion. Problem is, very often I don't remember to kind of call. Yeah, but the more I do this prayer, I do it at least once a week, usually on Saturday, because, we do this Pangtong Gyalpo prayer-ton, not a marathon, but a prayer-ton. I don't know if you heard about this, the Lama Zopa Rinpoche's monks and nuns, every Saturday since the beginning of the pandemic, for 24 hours, we recite this prayer to stop the pandemic and do Tantric practice. Each monk or nun does half an hour. You can do more than once, half an hour, but it kind of goes on for 24 hours. And I usually include it in there. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, if you keep compassion Buddha, who is enriched with supreme power in your mind, you will be protected from all dangers. Especially protected from creating more causes for future dangers. I mean, this is what it is, because when we are with our guru, when we are with our lama, we're not creating negative karma because we're very careful. We want to show our best side when they are present, as if, they don't know what's going on. There's no point trying to fool your lama, I tell you. Better be honest about the whole thing. So, and then in order for it to become bodhicitta, we request that not just for ourselves, but that this is, that everybody is protected from this danger. So first request Chenrezig for the following things to happen to you, then think that you cause them to happen to all other sentient beings. This is an extremely effective way to generate bodhicitta and the good heart cherishing others. So visualizing Chenrezig in the space in front, it wakes up our Buddha potential, or it nourishes us, remembering that it is possible to attain full awakening, to be the Buddha of compassion. Then again, it just, for me, it really, I discovered it does help me on the path. It reminds me on the path. I feel protected. I feel connected. I don't have to be afraid. It's really, it kind of, how to say, I still experience fears, but I'm not carried away by them, right? There's one part of the mind who's, oh yeah, it's okay. The Buddhas are there. But as I said, it sounds very religious. It sounds maybe superstitious. But what we are creating when we visualize these deities, we're creating a different reality, a reality that is pure, a reality of forms that as causes, they have compassion and wisdom. And this is why they appear like, but they're also empty of inherent existence. They also don't appear that way. So at one point, somebody came and said, yeah, medicine Buddha practice, very nice. But yeah, they don't really exist. And and then he said, yeah, and also all the hells and all that. And then he asked me, he said, do you believe that the hells exist, that the hells exist? So I said, no. And he was very relieved because he thought, okay, she doesn't believe in it either. And I said, but we also don't exist the way that we think we are exist. So this is the mistake that we are making. You know, we think, oh, all the Buddhas are just imagination, projections, all this. We ourselves are imaginations and projections and mistake, you know. But then when we have realized this, because of compassion, we will still manifest in some way, and not manifest in a way where we have to think, in what way will I manifest? We will manifest in a way which will be of benefit to others. And that goes, you know, there's so many conditions then that will come together. Why benefit, long-term benefit, short-term benefit, and all these kinds of things. So Buddhahood or full awakening is not as simple as we think. We always tend to kind of take it down a little bit to our level, right? It's like, and when you read the sutras, you can really read that understanding a Buddha is like, it's for us, it's inconceivable. We can't imagine what it means, because if we could know what it means, we would be Buddha. Does that make sense a little bit about why we are doing these things? It's just connecting with the enlightened energy that we want to attain that same state. Okay. Namo Guru Lokeshwaraya. Please look at me with compassion, universal being enriched with power. Please be my guide and save me, perfect, pure treasure of compassion. I request you, Supreme Arya, compassionate eye-looking one, please be my captain, liberating me from the great ocean of beginningless samsara, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am obscured by the darkness of ignorance, please be my illuminating light, compassionate eye-looking one. When I have a blazing fire of anger towards my enemies, please be the waterfall that extinguishes it, compassionate eye-looking one. So in case you have a problem with anger, and you call Chenresig and say, oh, please, you know, if it's hot anger, please sprinkle some water on it. Try to see what effect it does. You can even visualize, you know, you're fuming and flaming, then the water comes and it just goes, yeah. And then you're out of your anger. This is what it is. We have to have methods where we're not getting carried away by these emotions. Having the emotions is not a problem. We will have them for a long, long time. But being carried away and kind of keeping them and then acting them out, this is the problem. When I have violent waves of attachment towards my friends, please help me realize the ultimate nature, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am bound to my possessions by the knot of miserliness, please be my manager of giving, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am intoxicated by the 5 poisonous delusions, please be my king of medicine, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am disturbed and frightened at the time of death, please show me your face and introduce self-nature, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am surrounded by the karmic messengers of Yama, please be my refuge and guide, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am traveling the unknown, dangerous path of the intermediate state, please be my close relative, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am wandering, seeking an uncertain birthplace, please take me to your pure land, compassionate eye-looking one. When I am experiencing the suffering of karma in the womb, please cover me with a tent of light, compassionate eye-looking one. When I've taken the body of an unknowing baby, please be my supreme virtuous friend, compassionate eye-looking one. When I always visualize you on my crown, make offerings and praise you, please be my root guru, compassionate eye-looking one. When I visualize you on my heart lotus, make offerings and praise you, please be my mind seal deity and the host of deities, compassionate eye-looking one. This is now the Tantric practice where we visualize ourselves as the deity. It's very powerful to loosen up, you know, that low self-esteem, I'm no good, I can't do anything, yeah. But it's not working if you do it just once, right? You have to kind of do it again and again and again. And then you will feel the effect, not so much during the practice, but in your daily life when you go out. When I experience the obstacles of bad outer and inner conditions, please be my Dharma protector and pacify them, compassionate eye-looking one. When my mind is tormented by hunger, thirst, and poverty, please grant whatever attainments I wish, compassionate eye-looking one. When I make requests with the continual sound of the 6 syllables, please always look at me with compassion, compassionate eye-looking one. So I would suggest what we can do now, with the help of Chenresig and having invoked him and having kind of called him, now you think, because we're so powerless to help others, also as Dina was saying also, you kind of visualize Chenresig in front of you, or just a form that for you is a manifestation of absolute perfect compassion, not just the wish to help, but also knowing how to. Yeah? And it's translucent, it's 3-dimensional. And you feel that this being, in this case, Chenresig, that he sees you, he appreciates you, he's very happy that you're doing this practice. And we think that we've made these supplications for all the beings that we know that are suffering. So again, it's not complete bodhicitta because it's not all sentient beings, but just think about beings where your heart really, really, really wants them to be well. You visualize them in the space in front of you. You see their suffering. You're touched by their suffering. We see kind of our helplessness. We admit it. This is why we want to become Buddhas. And we visualize that from the heart of Chenresig, or from his body. Sometimes it's also good to think, not just from the heart, because then from the heart it just goes in one direction. But when you think this body is like the sun, or like a very powerful light bulb, so the light is going out in all directions. You think the light is going out in all directions and touching each of these beings, or even entering the bodies of these beings through their crown. As we chant the mantra, it's Om Mani Padme Hum. It's very simple, means combination of compassion and wisdom. And you see that, they get support, they get relief. They can start looking after themselves, maybe also some interest in working with their minds, but especially peace of mind, relief, happiness, space to look at their problem in a more beneficial way. So if you would like to do that visualization, please do. If you think that, oh, this is absolute nonsense, this is fine. Absolutely not a problem. But, these practices are quite simple to do. And for me, they're very helpful. And I'm, why I then also started doing these things, because I was thinking, hey, come on, your guru is doing these things. The Dalai Lama is doing these things. Who are you to say that it doesn't work? At least try. Yeah? I don't want to force you to do anything. I just want to introduce some kind of resources that we would have when things are getting tough, that very often we're not using, because we want to do it all by myself. So you try to think, the Buddhas are always there. Why? Because they made this promise that they will help all sentient beings. So their mind is all-pervading. They're always present, but when we forget about it, they're not there anymore. Try to feel the presence of a being that only wants your best. On top of it, knows what is best for you. Has absolutely no self-interest. And then, with our yearning heart for all these beings that are very close to us, that we care about a lot, we then ask Chenresig, please protect them. Protect them from their own crazy mind, which are the inner hindrances to be happy, but also please protect them from the outer hindrances, which are the conditions, the environment, people around them. The light is going in all the directions, entering the crowns of these beings and your crown as well, of course, purifying all hindrances that we have to be happy, giving us all the qualities that we need in order to make progress on this path and attain awakening very, very quickly. And of course, if you do have a guru, somebody that you call, or you think this is my root lama, my master, maybe master is a good word, somebody that you would follow their advice, somebody that you trust. Then first quickly you visualize that person in his or her human form, and then you let it melt into the visualization of Tantric, because the guru is Tantric, Tantric is the guru. There's this, whatever Buddha we visualize, they're always oneness with the guru, the master. No mani pemme ho, no mani pemme ho, o mani pemme ho, o mani pemme ho, o mani pemme ho, o mani pemme ho. O mani pemme ho, 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 o mani pemme ho. O mani pemme ho, 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 o mani pemme ho. O mani pemme ho, o mani pemme. Now you can think, this is for the moment my contribution, doing these kinds of practices also to the peace and happiness on this planet. And if you want, and if it feels comfortable, Tantric comes to your crown. The lotus melts into Tantric. He kind of collapses into his heart chakra from above and below and from the sides to a small bowl of very brilliant light, which encompasses, holds all the qualities of an awakened mind that absorbs into you through your central channel, into your heart chakra, the middle of your upper body. So that our not developed or still covered Buddha potential and the fully developed Buddha potential of Avalokiteshvara can become oneness, melt into each other. Because by nature, they're totally the same. Again, if you feel comfortable doing that, then do it. If you feel like, oh no, thank you, fine, absolutely no problem. Okay. So we come to the last part of this developing bodhicitta with the Shantideva method, which is exchanging ourselves for others. See again. So I just go through the steps again, and if something is not clear, then please, just let me know. Or if you'd like to add something also, then by all means do. So the second method, which comes from Shantideva, which is especially like explained in the 8th chapter of the Bodhicharyavatara. Chapter is called concentration. So it's like, first we have to create some equanimity that all beings have a right to be happy, kind of thing. And we start to notice our attachment and our aversion. And we start to apply antidotes, and we see how unrealistic these kind of views that we have about people that we call friend, enemy, and stranger. And then again and again and again, we have to think about the disadvantage of cherishing self, that whenever something comes up that you dislike, something that happens to you, you can think, and who created the cause? Is my added ego. You see, when we talk about self-cherishing, we're not talking about your whole self. Okay? So be careful. It's not that you should not be happy, or when you want to be happy as a whole or as a self that you think, oh, this is wrong. It's not like this. One talks about this exaggerated self, the self that is kind of put on top of the conventional self. Yeah, the one that then forgets the happiness of others, the one that says, I am more important than others. It doesn't say it, unfortunately. If it would say it, we would see that this is totally unrealistic, but it's an attitude, it's a feeling. Yeah? You see what I mean? So because then when it comes to Tonglen, you try to destroy the self-cherishing. So one Lama at one point said, when you do Tonglen, you have to be very careful. You have to destroy the self-cherishing with a lot of compassion for the one in whose mind the self-cherishing is sitting. Like the self-cherishing is an attitude. I am more important than others. Are you clear about it? This is very important, because it's not against you as a whole, not against you as a person. It's the attitude, I am more important than others. Okay? Clear? Yeah. The thing that makes us harm others. So we think about the disadvantage of that one. And then, okay, then in order to make it go away even more, when we see that somebody is actively kind to us, we become, the self-cherishing goes. We want to do something for them as well. That is quite a natural reaction, but because we don't see the work of the people on the fields as kindness, then we have to think about this, So maybe if, the kindness of others, you cannot, it's not meaningful for you, you can just think the effort of others. That I see the effort of others to make my life comfortable. And then very often we say, yeah, but, they don't even know me, so why should I be grateful? I mean, that's not a good argument. I'm sorry. If they all would have enough money, all the people from the Philippines and Nepal and Thailand who are in Israel working in the fields and with elderly people, if all of them would have enough money, they wouldn't come to Israel. So what would you do? Would you go out in the fields and grow the vegetables? What do you think? Look at your faces. Would you do that? What would happen to your very, very meaningful job of being a psychotherapist? You wouldn't have time to do that. If you would have to work for your food, you wouldn't have time to do much else. And in the meantime, because you need to plant something first, in the meantime, while it is growing, you might die. So that's why, okay, is it kindness? Is it not kindness? Sometimes we have long discussions about why is it called kindness? Okay, you can't do anything with the word kindness, then just think, how would it be if they were not here? How would it be if they would not come because they don't have enough money to stay, or they don't have countries where they can stay and just work there so that they can stay themselves? Yeah. And then we have much more respect towards them, gratitude. You see them on the bus, you offer them your seat, because you've only been talking to people as a therapist, whereas they have been working very hard in the field. Also, you earn more than they do. Yes, Edouard.
The COVID has shown us who in society are the really important people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not us working in these glass and metal towers. It's the cashier at the supermarket.
Yeah.
It's the doctor, the sanitar at the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's the worker in the field.
Right.
It's not all these, shiny things that we push our children to become.
Yeah, I think it would be good to keep that attitude and to treat people in the supermarkets and the lorry driver and the bus drivers and all these in the hospitals, to treat them as very important, not just to think, oh yeah, they're very important, but to treat them the way we treat like so-called very important people. At one point I had to give a talk in, that was before the COVID, I was giving a talk in Human Spirit, the psychoanalyst school. So we were talking about what does it mean having a meaningful life. So they all said, well, we have very meaningful jobs. So then we don't have to worry about, we don't have to think what is a meaningful life. Our life is meaningful. I thought, oh, okay, wonderful. And so I said, what? But you are a psychoanalyst because you had the conditions to be able to study this, right? What about if you wouldn't have had the conditions and you end up working in the supermarket? What do you think? You think then your life would still be meaningful? And they all said, oh, no. But that was before COVID, right? So then I said, look, if all the people in the supermarkets go on strike for 3 months, we would all die of hunger. If the psychoanalysts go on strike for 3 months, well, nobody would die of hunger. But yeah, so they didn't like to hear that very much. But it's kind of, this is what we have to learn also, to treat these people as very important. Not only the ones with the big jobs and the big salaries and, special thing and that. Okay. So the next points were like seeing the kindness of others. It's such a nice meditation when you do it. Your heart just opens, or just having a cup of tea. Or did you do what I asked you to do at lunchtime to see how many people are involved? Yeah, did you do it? I mean, it makes the food so much better. It's because your mind is in a better state. The more relaxed we are, the more we can enjoy it. It's so simple. Then the kindness of others. Then also we want to kind of repay the kindness. This is a very natural wish that we have. Then the advantage of cherishing others, and then making the step in exchanging oneself for others. And in order to do that, then we do what is called Tonglen. So Tonglen is called giving and taking. So most of you will know it, and you use your breath. And most of the time, we don't have that much time left. So anyway, we will do the meditation, and then it will become clearer. But so the idea is, as I said, we exchange our habitual behavior. Instead of keeping the good things for me and kind of pushing away the bad things, voluntarily we take away from others or from ourselves. Usually one starts with oneself, but we take away from others the heavy stuff, the negative stuff. And you bring it down to your heart where the self-cherishing is sitting in a way, that thing that prevents us always from doing something really meaningful, because too lazy, too difficult, too dangerous. No, I don't want to do it. This one. And so when that heaviness or the darkness hits it, you visualize that it just shatters it into thousands of pieces. And then we have all this space, which is our bare Buddha nature, having come to the surface, having been uncovered. And then we breathe out light and lightness and resources or support, relief, healthy, peace, whatever in the form of light. And we just give it to other people. So in a way, it's quite simple. But don't forget, you are not taking the suffering of others, although it says I take it upon myself. But you're not taking it to keep it, because you suffering, that doesn't really, it's not meaningful also. But the thing is, the attitude should be there. If that would be the only way to take it away, that I have to take it upon myself, I would do it. Do you understand? Yeah, you're not keeping it. But you have the courage to breathe it in at least, you know? And then your self-cherishing will go like, oh, no, thank you very much. You know, I remember when I did this the first time, and the Tibetans, they do it like, you think about the suffering of the whole universe, you know, from they don't think we're beginners, we don't know how to do this. And so I was kind of breathing in, you know, kind of wanting to take a really deep breath. And I went like, what if it works? And oh no, thank you very much. Yeah, so this is too big, right? So you start either with yourself or with somebody that really, like, you know, is very close to you, or some suffering that you already have. And actually the way we start is by, in a kind of, just to learn the technique, you know, to learn the technique of just bad stuff in, good stuff out, bad stuff in, good stuff out, without thinking about specific suffering, without thinking about anything. So that kind of starts to, you know, the rhythm starts to, we don't have to think about this anymore. So we can start like this. Also, if it's too threatening, what we can do, we just did Tantric practice, and we just absorbed Tantric into our heart. So you can visualize Tantric in your heart. And instead, because, you know, this destroying of self-cherishing, for Westerners, very often it doesn't work because it's too frightening. They don't know what they destroy. It's like, yeah, right. And then there's a lot of resistance. But in case that is there, you visualize Tantric or the Buddha in your heart. And then, you know, the black stuff goes through that, the energy or the qualities or the realizations of Tantric, filters it, and then sends out whatever is beneficial. You can also do like this. If you think this is more appealing to you. Are you kind of clear on this? So, you know, think about it. Is it, what would make the meditation for you more meaningful? If you visualize yourself cherishing, as you in the text is like this, right? Your self-cherishing is like a black rock. Or I think there's another visualization, like you have this, you know, like a source of very clean and clear and healing water in here, but it's a very heavy stone is covering it and it can't come out. Yeah. So then when you breathe in the suffering of others, it kind of destroys that stone, and then the good things are kind of shooting out. So there's also one visualization. The classical one is self-cherishing like a black rock sitting here in the middle of your chest. And when, you know, the Tibetans say, because the self-cherishing is a coward. So when you breathe in the suffering of others, it runs away. It goes, it disappears, because until now, we have been trying to give to the self-cherishing whatever what it wanted. And now all of a sudden, we start to give it something that it definitely doesn't want. And then they say it runs away. I don't know if that works for us Westerners. I'm not so sure. But what works really well is you think about your Buddha nature, or you have Tantric in your heart, like the already developed Buddha, as the filter who is able to kind of change negativity into something positive. As Dina was saying, you know, from very suffering suffering situations can come very beautiful things. So there can be a transformation. So what do you think? What would you like to do? Or just, in, out, without any Buddha, without any black rock. There is so many different ways you can do Tonglen. Does anybody do it regularly? Have you made some experience with it?
I used to, but I think I'll come back to it.
Okay.
But I do the way I thought I learned from Pema Chodron.
Okay, so how is that?
You first say for yourself, may I be happy and have all the reason for happiness. Maybe I'm free of suffering and the root of and the cause of suffering. And then you put first your children, your family, and then you put your closest friends, and then less people who are not your really friend, but you don't have anything, you like, they are okay, you are okay with them, and then you put people that you don't like, and then you put people that are even your enemies, and then you put the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we did yesterday with loving kindness meditation. Do you remember?
Yes.
We did this, like going in steps, but we don't have that much time to do all of this together. So I have here, I can't remember where it's from, not from me, but I found it quite helpful. So it's in 4 steps. So I'll just guide you through this. And then, because we said we finish in kind of quarter of an hour. So then we just do this. And then when we do the 2 days meditation, then we do 45 minutes of Tonglen meditation. That will be the last meditation in 2 weeks. And, we did once a full Tonglen weekend in Monash, which I found very, very meaningful. And I'm really, at this one, I said, I don't want to teach anymore. But to do things like this, I'd be quite happy to do. So, just to focus for 2 full days, to go in steps, as Dina was saying, because we never have enough time to really, go through this, then that one, and then that one. Anyway, we see. So don't force yourself to do anything that you don't want to do. Just try to sit quietly, relax, and breathe simply and naturally. Let go of restlessness, let go of the past, the future, and of compulsive thinking and planning. Just be still. And then now this whole thing's so important. And touch spaciousness. Sometimes it's more beneficial to touch outer spaciousness. You feel you can move. So there is space. Yeah, and that space is much bigger than we are. Free space, uncompounded space. When we touch spaciousness, we give space. Everything becomes easier. But then also your body, you imagine that you are like a vase. Within you, there is vast space. Around you, there is vast space. Between the two, there's a subtle boundary so that you don't disappear. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the inhalation dissolve within. Let the exhalation dissolve without. Open up to basic spaciousness and clarity. Sounds very much like Pema Chodron. Could be from her. And then when we do Tonglen, it's really good to work with texture. So as you breathe in, if you feel courageous enough, you breathe in feelings of heat, darkness, and heaviness, a sense of claustrophobia. If fear is coming up, don't worry, because this meditation is also to increase our courage to stay and bear the suffering in a very serene and calm way. And breathe out feelings of coolness, brightness, and light, a sense of freshness. Breathe in completely, taking in negative energy through all the pores of your body. That's a very interesting thing also. When you breathe in, not just through your nostrils, but it's as if your body is sucking in all this dark, heavy, sticky stuff. Like when you breathe out, radiate positive energy completely through all the pores of your body. This makes us spacious. When we think that the breath is kind of coming out through all the pores. Try to have this synchronized kind of breathing. Bad stuff in, good stuff out. Without thinking about any particular suffering, just a texture. Breathing in, sticky, hot, dark, heavy. Breathing out, fresh, healthy, cool, bright, light. Then focus on any painful situation that's real to you. So she says, traditionally you begin by doing Tonglen for someone you care about and wish to help. However, if you are stuck, you can do the practice for the pain you're feeling yourself and simultaneously for all those who feel the same kind of suffering. For instance, if you're feeling inadequate, breathe that in for yourself and all the others in the same boat and send out confidence, adequacy, and relief in any form you wish. That's just an example if you feel inadequate. So we do it for ourselves, but already now, we're not just thinking about ourselves. Something that we feel that is bothering us. Fear, depression, being inadequate. Lacking courage, lacking self-confidence, all of this. Breathing in. And we think, I'm doing that for all others who are suffering from the same thing. When you breathe out everything that you think that you are lacking and that will help you to overcome that pain or that lack. In whatever form you wish, like we did before, light, resourceful, healing, peaceful, refreshing. Then make the taking in and sending out bigger. If you're doing Tonglen for someone you love, do it for that person, but extend it out to all those who are in the same situation. You can already put all your loved ones or just one. But then again, we constantly think about this shared humanity. Either if I am suffering, I'm not the only one. So many other beings suffer from the same thing. Somebody that we love is suffering. Also, he or she is not the only one. So many other beings are suffering from the same. And then if you're doing Tonglen for someone you see on television or on the street, then do it for all the others in the same boat. Make it bigger than just one person. Because otherwise we become too small again, right? So it's a very good method to keep the spaciousness. Thinking, yes, that person that I love, but also all the others in the same boat. Or yes, that stranger, I don't know the person, but I see their suffering. And also he or she is not the only one. I'm doing this for all the others in the same boat. We're not destroying any self-cherishing here with this kind of meditation. It's just learning the technique of breathing in. Heavy stuff, breathing out, the relief. And then you can do Tonglen for people you consider to be your enemies. Those who hurt you or hurt others. Do Tonglen for them, thinking of them as having the same confusion and stuckness as your friend or yourself. Breathe in their pain and send them relief. Again, don't force anything, just whatever seems possible. People have hurt you, people hurt others. We breathe in their being stuck, confusion, violence, aggression, unhappiness, heaviness. We breathe out our wisdom, our calmness, our peace, our relief. You can really be very creative and use your own ideas here, what to give. What does this person harming me or others need? I will give that person whatever the person needs to be peaceful, to be well, to be happy. Whatever is preventing the person to be peaceful, well, and happy and at ease, I take it away from the person, all the others in the same boat, by breathing it in. So Tonglen can extend infinitely. As you do the practice, your compassion naturally expands over time, and so does your realization that things are not as solid as you thought, which is a glimpse of emptiness. As you do this practice gradually at your own pace, you will be surprised to find yourself more and more able to be there for others, even in what used to seem like impossible situations. So Dina, now you have your answer. how you can help this family. And since you're already doing it anyway, just keep doing it, and we all are. Instead of feeling helpless and useless, we breathe in whatever prevents them to have happiness and well-being. And we breathe out and give to them whatever we think they need in order to be happy, well, joyful, and at ease. Okay. So then when we are able to do this genuinely, then we would, like even, I saw Geshe Champa Gyatso when he was in Israel. We were doing Tonglen, and I looked at his face while he was doing it, because then he said, now breathe in the suffering of all the hell beings and you empty all the hells. And I looked at his face and it looked so blissful and so peaceful. And I thought, like, he's really doing this. He's really emptying the hell beyond. Quite amazing. Yeah, so the practice is to strengthen our courage to look at the suffering and not to feel useless and helpless, and and to diminish our self-cherishing others more. Okay? All clear? Okay. And then in 2 weeks, to really end this Lam Rim kind of thing, in 2 weeks we do all from the precious human rebirth until Tonglen. We do all the specific meditation, each one like 45 minutes. Before each, 45 minutes is the session, but 15 minutes is silent meditation just to train awareness. And that's Friday and Saturday. Okay? So thank you very much for participating. Now we do Hello Vardar. Now we do the dedication. Very important also that we know why we did this, and then enjoy the rest of the day. If you want to listen to Geshe Tashi on the 7th chapter of Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara, it's the Center in Bern who is kind of organizing it. You find it on Longku, LONGKU.fpmt.ca. Maybe Valda can put it in. You're better at typing than I am. Longku at fpmt.ch, while I'm looking for the dedication somewhere. Here we go. Just in case, somebody would like to. And they also, in the Mediathek, they have, it's not YouTube, it's called Mediathek. So you can find all the teachings, High Lamas, not so High Lama, from me in Swiss German, if you want. So it's like,
is it right what I wrote?
Sorry?
Is it right what I wrote in the chat?
I have to look. Longku, no, it's a K, not a Q. It's
Okay.
LONGKO. Wait, since I have it open, I might as well do it. Long. Oh. Yeah, like that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And there you find the link. No, thank you very much. Okay, so again, we think about our gurus and our teachers, and from the bottom of our hearts, we really wish them a long, long, healthy, stable life, and that we can make contact with them, life after life after life, until we attain full awakening. We can chant it in Tibet. Kari Rave Korve Shinkam Dir pendan dewa malu chungwene chenre siwan tensing yatsoi chape site pardu tengyochi. And then here we only have in English, but that's okay. Through the merits of these virtuous actions, and it's a lot we've done over this Friday, Saturday, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha, lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the precious body mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have not declined, but increase forevermore. Okay. Thank you. Maybe see you in 2 weeks, or maybe see you on Wednesday. If not, also okay. Please just have a happy life. Be happy, be at ease, be well. Oh, there's Itzik. So I'll see you on the 29th, right? I will come to Bern. So that's great. Yeah, we will
Next Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah, that's this Wednesday. Itzik is coming to Switzerland. That's why.
Not this Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Yeah, not this Wednesday. Yeah, right. Next Wednesday. Thank you, Noah. Yeah, because she's the manager. No, I'm talking about Itzik is on Friday. Itzik.
Yeah, not only me, only with City together. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever is there will be okay. I'm very much looking forward to that. So
Wow, איזה יופי.
yeah. Well, he has a son in Switzerland. That's why. You know, they're not coming because just to visit me. They're coming because they're coming to visit Ido. So that's why. But then we can combine it, which is really nice. And anyway, you know, as soon as Switzerland is giving that third vaccination, I'll get it. And then I come. So whenever that is, probably somewhere middle of December, something like January. I don't know. As soon as they decide to make this also available here in Switzerland.
אני Losang, may I say something?
Yeah.
Father, may I say something? I felt with the last Tonglen, it's the first time that I heard about the inadequacy of yourself. And I was thinking of actually getting in contact with all my afflictions.
Mm-hmm.
And if I take the Tonglen of all the afflictions of myself and all the world, then you are vast Tonglenist. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you don't have to thank me. I found this somewhere on the internet, and I found it very inspiring and very simple. You know, sometimes we have a tendency to this and then do this and do that and do this. And sometimes it's good to do really simple things. And also Chogyam Trungpa, you know, he was always saying, when you do Tonglen, first learn the technique, you know, like bad in, good out, bad in, good out. First learn that. Don't worry so much what you're taking and what you're giving. And then slowly, when you get into the habit of doing this, and then you do it naturally, you know, you don't have to sit down and be led by somebody. You see suffering and you go like, oh, and your mind does it almost naturally with time. It's very beautiful. Thank you, Valda. Yeah, it's a good.
Thank you.
Anila, I want to say also a word, please, to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and also to tell, sometimes you say scary things that you don't have to teach or stuff like that. And it's very, very scary, because really, I think that no one, like, I feel that you're going with me during all the week, and you give us the Dharma really to the daily and moment by moment work on myself, at least. So please, I'm begging not to say the scary stuff, because it is so beneficial.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is like official teachings, you know, I mean, it's like, so like discussions as we had now, like the way we did it now, I'm quite happy to do, right? But like official kind of this topic, and then have to go this point, this I can't do. So, so how about we don't call it teaching? How about we just call it discussing?
No problem.
You know? So we'll do discussions. We don't do teachings. We do discussions.
We can call it flowers. It's okay.
Right. Because I see myself, also the same level as other people. I don't see myself higher. I always get embarrassed when I have to call it teaching. So this is why.
Yeah.
No, I will continue to bother you. Don't worry, and I will continue to Israel also as long as I'm having enough. As even if it's just to eat falafel, that's okay, and to see you privately.
Yeah,
that's also okay. I love to meet people privately and then talk about whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I take you to the market.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Okay, my dear.
Thank you, Anila.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are very
So
kind to
very
me.
much.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Anila.
Anila.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
you.
Bye bye.